Hello, livestock friends, and welcome to this edition of Before the Bid. This is a podcast dedicated to the livestock sales industry where we go behind the scenes of the operation and speak straight to the sellers. We discuss topics about the important aspects of their operation, location, the people behind the prep work, and talk about some of the animals that will be offered to you, the prospective buyers. Hopefully, you've got your sale catalog close by. You might have to go look through that pile on your desk. But if not, then you're probably like me and driving down the road or busy with chores around the farm. And that's okay too. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoy this segment of Before the Bid. I'm your host, Andy Howell. Welcome, livestock friends, to this edition of Before the Bid podcast. And for this edition, we are going out east, for us, I guess, to Sweet Springs, West Virginia, talking to a young man that is fresh out of the University of Wyoming. He came back to West Virginia, and now he's working at the Department of Agriculture there in West Virginia, and also has some sheep that we're going to talk about for this edition, and also a cattle guy as well. So I'm going to let him kind of tell you some of those things and tell you his upbringing, and we're going to talk about some sheep that he is having on an online sale on SC, and that is going to be held on March 14th on SC, so here very shortly. So make sure you go over and check that out. And I am very happy to have on this podcast Zachary Schumaker, as I said, from Sweet Springs, West Virginia, and he is with Mountain View Farm Club Lambs. And so, as I said, they're having a sale on March 14th. They've had a couple previous sales that we may talk about here just a bit, and talk about some of the pictures that he's taken. I want to highlight those and have you guys go see some of those. But Zachary, fresh out of the University of Wyoming, and get to come home and try to grow that deal out there in Sweet Springs, Virginia, West Virginia, right?
Yep. Thanks, Andy. Yep. Sure, I'm going to try to.
All right. Well, tell us why the sheep, and how did you get that background growing up, and tell us a little about that to kind of tell us who you are and what that background is of Mountain View Farms.
Sure. So it kind of started years ago during my first few years of showing 4-H and FFA. I decided that instead of buying the lambs each year, my mom and dad thought it would probably been more economical that I would start with just buying ewe lambs
Mm-hmm.
instead of wethers. That way that, at the end of the fall, if I wanted to show them through the summer, I could, and then retain them
Mm-hmm.
that fall and go ahead and breed them and try to lamb out a set of lambs that are potentially good enough to show the next year and so on, for the years following that.
Right.
And that's kind of how it started for me. And it's gotten out of hand, I guess you could say. And,
How often we hear that on this 4-H project gone rogue.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it some days it's nice and some days it's a little overwhelming. I know this year especially, but decided to go that route with it. And I tell you what, I think it's one of the best decisions I've made in my career,
Mm-hmm.
in my lifetime. And I couldn't have done it without the help of my parents and family, especially with those few years that I was in college. And even though the numbers were small at the time, they still helped lambing out ewes for me, and getting that done and making sure they were in their best shape and health and condition. Whenever I decided to get them sold that spring, or in the springtime of those few years.
Mm-hmm. Now, they were no strangers to lambing out ewes, correct? That's kind of been a
Nope.
history in the history, right?
Yep. No, sir. We've had. So I'm actually a fifth generation farmer on the same piece of land. My great 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 grandfather would have farmed, 150 some years ago, and there's been sheep on the farm since the land was cleared.
Wow.
Um, or at least there's records of. And my dad and grandparents and my mom as well have all had sheep, and has lambed out ewes since my mom and dad were married. And then, when my dad was my age, even had sheep there. The numbers were a lot smaller, but there was still a handful there, and so we've gained a lot of knowledge, and my parents have showed me a lot and taught me a whole bunch about it.
Now they weren't raising club lambs, right?
No, these would have been all commercial Dorsets, which we still have today. We still keep roughly 200 ewes of commercial Dorsets there on the farm, and those are actually marketed um, off the farm as seed stock type sheep
Mm-hmm.
um, to other breeders and small flock owners around us. What's left over out after that is then sent to the ethnic market up north. We market those sheep through New Holland Sale Barn. Has kind of got started, and the knowledge is gained for my side through the commercial sheep industry.
Now you've got your own little operation, or I guess not real little, but you've got your own set of blackface shoes, right?
Yep. So all those years ago, whenever I started, when I was younger, has now grown to about 75 blackface ewes of my own. This past fall, increased the number pretty dramatically
Mm-hmm.
with the purchase of 29 bred ewes from Charlie Hild Brothers Club Lambs out there in Iowa. Me and my judging coach actually split the whole lot that was supposed to have been sold that fall in their bred ewe sale. We just agreed to take them all and talk that out with those guys, and made an awesome arrangement, and it worked out well since I decided to come home, and so we grew that number from about 40, 45 ewes, counting yearlings, to 75
Mm-hmm.
there just right off the bat
Right.
this past fall.
Yeah, and a good set of sheep that you bought, not just some common sheep out of that deal, right?
No, there was some ewes out of that group that were game changers for those guys, just a handful of years ago, and I hope and I know that they are going to be a game changer for us here as well. There were some ewes that they flushed and had some awesome results out of. Some ewes that had lambs that won shows and made an impact on their breeding program as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on your Facebook page, Mountain View Farm Club Lambs, nice little flyer right up there on the top of that purchase and some of the success and some of the lambs in that.
Yep, yep. Tried to get that promoted as much as we could, and that's actually what my first sale consisted of. Was just the weather results out of the bread you purchase.
Right.
Was the sale was solely committed to just the lambs out of that bread you purchase.
Yeah, I was Zachary and I were talking earlier that man, I wish we could have caught him on those first ones. That February time, that late January, late February time, we're doing basketball games 4 or 5 nights a week, and so we didn't get everything put together. But we'll be sure to do that next year. And yeah, again, those are on their Facebook page as well, guys. Go check those out. And Zachary, the pictures on some of those sheep, man. If you get to walk out and see that every day, that there's some people that would just dream to be able to see that a couple times, and you get to see that view every day, I guess.
Yeah, the I'm very blessed to have the location of our farm that we do, and especially I know a lot of people hang up just a white curtain or a blue curtain in their barn as the cover for the backside of those lambs
Hmm.
when they get them propped up to take when it comes picture day. And all we have to do is take the lambs right outside the barn door and set them on the platform or bale hay or whatever, and we have a one in a million view coming from behind us of the mountains and the hills there in the valley that we have. And it's God sure created a beautiful picture for us for picture day that we never had to hang up or or anything. All we had to do was just walk outside with each one of those lambs.
Right. We've seen a lot of pictures, and those are some of the neatest ones that we've seen with. Yeah, and even a nice little bit of snow on the ground for that first set. So yeah,
Yep.
gotta check those out. Check those pictures out. So really cool deal there. Zachary, tell us. Do you want to tell us how you kind of got into the sheep and that you didn't really show right out of the gate? Do you want to tell us before that?
Yeah, yeah. So, actually, as me and Andy was talking earlier, I started with horses. My mom, she showed and bred saddlebreds, and that's where I got my start, was in the horse side of the show industry. We grew up showing kind of all over the country and all over the eastern part of the country. Some bigger shows, some of your kind of your county fair horse shows that they have through the week or on the weekends. And we travel. A lot of times we would be gone about every weekend through the summer. And I know especially whenever I was younger and my mom was still into showing more. So that's where I got my start. And as the horses got older, the pace of it slowed down, and I think the mindset changed as far as the return on investment in that situation, and kind of decided that I wanted something that at the end of summer, we could just, or at the end of the summer or fall, well, we could say, well, this is it. We're going to be done until spring, and not have to to winter them things, winter the horses, or whatever.
Hmm.
And so that's when we decided that, or I decided that I would prefer to show lambs, or show sheep, and that's kind of how I got started in that.
Hmm. Yeah, and also you guys had cattle as well.
hmm Yeah, so I never showed never showed any cattle. We run about 100 commercial mama cows, Angus base, um, there on the farm as well. Never had a passion or a drive to show cattle. I did my last year. I wanted to show all four livestock species. I wanted to show an Angus heifer. Things didn't work out, so I do have a fairly good cattle background as well.
So horses, sheep, cattle, and you showed some pigs there right at the end, right?
Yeah, um, it showed a market hog there at the end. That I'm glad that was a one and done deal. I kind of learned that hogs were not my forte, if you will.
Right. Doesn't take some of us long to learn that, does it?
No, nope. I would more than glad stick with sheep and cattle.
Right. Yeah, and doing a good job of it as well, because you guys have had some success here with your lambs and lambs you guys have sold here recently, and even in a couple years past. And I want to give you a few minutes to tell us some of those things, that some of those successes that you've had, things from Louisville to some local shows to West Virginia state fairs and things like that.
Yep, yep, absolutely. So, starting a few years ago, so we'll just go from old to new. There, 3 years ago, had a couple weathers at Louisville that were really good. Those would have been sired by the buck that I own with May Valley Club Lambs over in Virginia called Wide Angle. He sired those lambs. There was one that was ninth in class, and one that was fifth in class that was there. And those sheep went on to actually Chad Charmison in Oklahoma, and he placed them to a family in the Southeast District for their, I think, county fair for up in the wintertime. And then one went on to another family in the San Angelo area of Texas after Louisville. So those sheep had a pretty big run that summer of 2018, I think it was.
Hmm.
Fast forward to 2019, had the reserve champion market lamb at the West Virginia State Fair, as well as some other successful kind of jackpot highlights and division at jackpot highlights there. Then in 2020 was a pretty hot year last year for us. We were in a tight situation. There was a lot of people that were hesitant in buying lambs
Mm-hmm.
uh, due to the virus, and who can blame them? But we got a few lambs sold and had some luck there at local jackpot shows. Little girl, she had a real successful run. The Hilton family there at jackpot shows across West Virginia, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and then she went on to Louisville that fall with a set of weathers. Had a lamb that was third in class behind the champion overall market lamb there at Louisville
Oh, wow.
at Nail. That she got stuck a lot of times second and third in class. She did have a couple division wins with that sheep, but he was just really mature like and was slow growing and was just green really. And then Louisville, he he finally hit his prime
Mm-hmm.
and looked incredible down there.
Mm-hmm.
But we've amped up our program, and we're putting in a set of weathers into the show realm this season, this year, that without a doubt are going to get out there and go on to great homes, and it's going to make an impact, I think, and a lot of people hopefully can see some success out of them.
Right. Yeah, and invite them to go to that Facebook page. Check that weather out there that you
Yep.
had at the North American, and young lady flat gets him put together.
Yep. Yep. Check us out. It's Mountain View Farm Club Lambs on Facebook. Apologize in advance. The page isn't but a year old, so there's not a lot of success stories from those 2018, 2019 years. But when we finally get our website done, you can go in and check out um, the the success or the winners on our website there.
Hmm. One other thing you'll find on your Facebook page that helps your success in your program, you guys do some AI work.
Yep, we've been AIing use for the last 5 years. This fall will be six,
Hmm.
um, or I guess late summer will be 6 years. We have been working with Daniel May at May Valley Club Lambs over in Virginia. He hosts an AI day, and we always try to take a handful of our top end ewes to AI to some of his bucks. And then this year decided to replicate some sheep that I knew was going to work from previous bred ewe purchases and just AIing them back to the ewes that I bought them bred out of. And those sheep this year so far are looking real nice.
Hmm.
We have AI to ring the bell. AI'd a lot of ewes to Harold 78. Unfortunately, I think we run into some semen issues there and didn't get anything stuck. But those ring the bells surely look real nice and are coming along real well. And the pictures, I think, on the two on the one sale that we've had that sold the ring the bell weathers,
Hmm.
I think speak for themselves as far as the quality of them. And we also have our last ring the bell weather will be sold at the Showcase live sale in Virginia next Friday, March the 19th, I believe it is,
Hmm.
there in Rockingham at the Rockingham County Fairgrounds. Daniel May and Matt Spinagle are putting on a live sale for sheep and goats, and hopefully this is the first year, and hopefully trying to get it to grow so the East Coast can have their own little deal for
Hmm.
a live sale.
Right. Right. So you've got at least one going over to that one as well.
Yep, that'll be the last ring the bell weather to be sold. Yep.
Okay. And you've got your own bucks that you're using some and getting some use on and having quite a bit of success out of.
Yep, like I mentioned there just a little bit ago, we have purchased a buck in partnership with May Valley Club Lambs. He is wide angle. He's an Impact 120 son, and I utilized him for 3 years. The past 3 years, had a great deal of success out of him, and also bought a Drop the Mic son from Jim Sloan there in Ohio, and he's brought a great deal of success. Really, this past year, we kept two bucks. A buck that I call Country Squire.
Mm-hmm.
He has not made his public debut on our Facebook or website just yet. I'm still waiting for our graphic, buck graphic to get done, but he is a Harrow 78 Bush Baby Resurrection. He would actually be bred very similar to Hild Brothers Freestyle buck that has made an incredible impact on the show sheep industry this past year. And he has babies on the ground right now that look real nice. And
Mm-hmm.
this Country Squire buck has cut them real consistent for us. And actually have our lot one is a Country Squire ewe lamb that's going to be leading off our sale. The other buck that we kept is a Bush Light son called George Bush. I'm just trying to keep the name in there. He is a Bush Light Brickyard. He cut them real wide based and real good in terms of their body shape and big fuzzy legs. Those two buck lambs, I think, have made a real nice cleanup sires for us this past year, and really tickled with how their lambs have panned out so far.
Yeah, and you sent me a picture of one of the bucks, and wow, stout, really cool, just really, really, really powerful.
Yep. The Country Squire, his pin set is super stout, super big and fuzzy legs, and I think his build is really where he exceeds. His skeleton is put together and organized very well. From the side, he's probably not the most out there in terms of his look and presence, but his underline and his spine and the shape of his muscle is all very proportional, and I think sets in him very correctly. And I think he's a buck that can be termed universal.
Mm-hmm.
He's got enough look and build and presence, and yet enough power and muscle that he can still make good weathers.
Any lambs on the ground out of him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So that's, like I said, that's the lot one
Okay. Okay. Yep.
out of him. I've had a weather on the second sale that was out of him, and there actually will be in our sale coming up in April, our next weather sale, and there around the 1st of April, there should be two or three more weathers out of him. Unfortunately, he didn't breed quite as many ewes as I would like for him to
Mm-hmm.
have, but given him being a buck lamb and kind of asking him to do more than he physically can, so
Mm-hmm.
he got 8 or 10 ewes bred, and that was fine by me. And next year, planning on using him twice as hard.
Well, he sure did a nice job on this lot one ewe lamb that you do have in the sale, and looking at the pictures of those and seeing those. Why don't we, Zach? Are you ready to get right into to talk about these ewes that you've got on this sale?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Andy. I'm ready to roll.
Okay. Well, again, want to tell everybody the sale is on SC Sales, and it is March 14th. So it's coming right up here, and so we invite you to go on there and look at those. Watch the podcast video if you're not watching the podcast video, as we'll have pictures of these ewes up there on that as Zachary talks about them. And with that, Zachary, why don't you just take it away on this awesome lot one?
Yep. So lot one, tag 21084. She's a Country Squire hangover. Like I said, Country Squire cut them super stout, big in their pin set, and her body shape I think is really neat in the way it turns in the upper portion of her rib, and still balances, and still has the right kind of look and presence from the side. she's not the most out there in how short her shoulder blade or her shoulder is, but I think it's very modern in terms of how level and parallel her underline sets in her from there back. I think just a real solid sheep to start the sale, regardless of what you're going to do. Um, as far as buyers go on her, she can be. I think she would make a great show you. And then, as far as going back home and going into your breeding program, you can go either way with her. She has enough power and muscle to breed her back to something with a shot more look and presence, or if you want to chase more power, I think she has the added look and presence to come with more muscle and more width to crack open her next generation.
That's what I would think. Yeah, stick her on some more power, and they're going to find it in her. I would think.
Absolutely.
Right. Tell us about this. We got a little darker lamb here for the lot two.
Yep, yep. So she is a George Bush, which is a Bush Light son.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm back on an Impact 120 U. So that U in 2018 uh, raised a buck lamb that sold for $4,000 at the West Virginia Purebred Sheep Breeders Show and Sale there in Petersburg that spring. That guy went to the McCoy family, just a couple counties north of me, back to their farm. This gal, I think is no different in terms of her look and presence of that buck lamb of her half brother, but I think comes with even more muscle and true base width that she inherited from her daddy's side, and yet still has a ton of look and presence about her. And the way she ties her front 2/3 in her neck out of the top side of her shoulder is really good. She's really level in terms of her top line and how she carries it, and down into a real round turn to her rib shape.
Yeah, that's a nice lamb, and yeah, and you look at the rear view of her, and again, another nice powerful sheep, wide stance to her, and yeah, she's attractive.
Yep, she can sure cuck off and give you a really neat pose.
Mm-hmm. Lot three, we've got another little lighter colored ewe than the lot two.
Yep. So lot three would be a Brisbane foul play. So this is out of one of the bred ewe purchases from Hild Brothers. So this gal was a triplet at birth. She was skinnier. We left her on the ewe, and just being a triplet, she got shorted just a little bit of milk. Same with everyone else. So they're greener and just a shot smaller than everything, but I think that shouldn't take away. Study this one's skeleton, and I easily think she's probably the best made, the most athletic built ewe of the sale. Outside of her being a little frailer in terms of her feature, smaller bone, I really do think her angles are awesome in the way she's laid together, and proportions. If you could get just a shot more fuzz and bone underneath of her, I think would make her even awfully more intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really neat made ewe that's put together real well from the side.
Mm-hmm. And we're coming to a place in this livestock industry where we've got these sheep big enough, we've got them powerful enough, we've got them all those things, and in any other animal, we've got to have that structure that really comes along with them, and
Yep.
she kind of hits you with that.
Yep. I'm a firm believer that 99% of all show sheep or market lambs, if you will, have enough muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just stated, that we've come to a point in time that it really has to be sorted off of off of build, structure, and presence, as well as look. So, I think that's something that this girl really capitalizes on.
Mm-hmm. And if you got a little later show, she'll come together.
Yep, yep. Late summer. If you want to try to get her shown, mid to late summer, I think is when she's really going to start taking off into the fall. I think by fall time she could be she could be real nice. And her mother had a real successful run for the Hill brothers there in Iowa. They sold some high dollar lambs out of her mother there a handful of times, and I think Brisby really clicked on this ewe this time. I know her brother sold the other day. Um, was one of the wasn't one of the high sellers, but it was kind of there in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was lot 10, really stout, really opened up, which actually is what her sister is more of.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister's staying here on the farm out of that triplet set.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a nice lambing season for this ewe.
When you sent me these pictures, and I'm looking down through here, and I'm counting, and I said, "This lot 4, she's kind of a special deal."
Yeah, lot 4. Just for starters, she's not the most hampy or the fuzziest. But if you're a power guy and if you like width and muscle, this is your girl. The amount of base width that she brings forth is unreal. And because she's so wide, the turn to a rib is so bold and is so upstanding, and yet she exemplifies just an unreal amount of shape of muscle on top of all of that, and handles real good. If you want to label one broody, this girl is going to be the real deal broody. Can surely make a big one directional change for someone as far as width and muscle and just rib and body.
Mm-hmm. What's her pedigree look like?
So, yep. So her pedigree is George Bush Nikon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and her tag would be 21098.
Good deal. The last lamb you got, last but certainly not least in this lineup.
Yep. So lot 5 is a Harold 78 Snapchat. If you read the comments on the sale, I can't keep them all, and
Right.
some of these twin ewe lambs, I just decided to part ways with one of them. And when we went to picture this one, she was skinnier, and she's not as bloomy as the rest of them. And that's not why we pictured her. The reason why we pictured her is because she's a twin. We decided to part ways with one of them, and I think the basics are there. I know um, she's not the most out there in terms of her pieces, but I think she's built right. I think she has enough fuzz, enough bone, and importantly, I think she has enough muscle. So, regardless of what your program is based towards, whether it's look or muscle, I think she has a combination of both. Plus, being a Harold 78, is going to bring forth some more added muscle as well into her next generation.
Right. Zachary, tell us a little. We get this sale wrapped up. How do we get these sheep taken care of? How do we get them where they need to be? What do you guys have kind of
Yep.
in line for that?
So I very flexible and can work with you on just about anything. All for free delivery to Midwest Elite Premier 10 there at the end of March. I will be heading out there to that and can get these used to Indianapolis for that event, and then and can get them on. I know of several other people heading on further west into the Rockies that can get them on out that way if need be. Also, I just kind of tell everyone to contact a professional trucker or livestock hauler that to try and coordinate something different. But I will work with anyone on just about anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and they come pick them up or however they need that, and
Yep. Yep, they can. If you want to do an off the farm pickup, they'll be ready March 15th or later. That's just when I plan on having them ready to roll and comfortable, saying they're big enough and weaned and everything, and they're ready to roll on to their next owner.
mm-hmm. And sounds like if you come to your place, you better pack your lunch for a trip, right?
Yeah, yeah. I tell everyone it's worth the drive. We're a long ways from anything, and can't really get there from here, but it's worth the drive if you come. The views, the scenery, it's all beautiful country, regardless of what time of the year um, you're here. And but yeah, might want to pack a lunch.
Right, right, yeah, and yeah, you can see just some of the view. I think it'd be worth the drive just to come see where you picture those sheep, to just to see that view coming out of the front of your barn. That'd be worth quite a few hours.
Yep, yep. It's we're very fortunate to have what we do.
Right. And also, I want to invite guys to check out your Facebook page, because you've got that Mountain View Farm Club Lambs. You've got a picture of your lambing barn in there. And one, what a neat facility that you have set up for those ewes, and a nice facility, enclosed facility, clean, nice. But what I admire is the condition of your ewes that you have them in right now at lambing.
Yep, yep. Thank you. It's I think it's very important. Health and flesh are two main contributors to have successful and healthy offspring and lambs. And it's very important to go through all the steps of the process to make sure that those lambs are going to come out at the highest health that they can
Mm-hmm.
when they're first born. And a clean facility, healthy, fleshy ewes, and mamas that are ready to lay down and have a healthy baby is is what makes the world go round. And I'll tell you what, if you're in the sheep industry, um, that's what you need to be basing your goals towards. And I know our lambing barn isn't the biggest or the neatest, but it works, and it
Mm-hmm.
works for us, and it's convenient, and I think that's what just really matters. If it can click for us, that's the simplest thing and the easiest thing that one can do.
Right. Looks like you've done a nice job of that, because that's a neat picture and neat facility. So, man, I want to come out to West Virginia and visit you sometime, man.
Yeah,
Just a neat place.
yeah. It doesn't talk Andy into coming.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, anything else we need to know about these sheep? About the sale? About anything with that?
No, I will make one last comment. I know a lot of people tell me I'm hard on my lambs and my sheep, and I am. I am for two reasons. That way, when I have success, I'm happy and I'm not disappointed. And second of all, I'm confident in what I'm selling,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that when my sheep enter your hands, that they are the best that I could possibly sell you and get into your hands. That it really it's really going to work out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a major contribution to those buyers,
Mm-hmm.
is having that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Right, and following these lambs all the way through, and helping these buyers out all that you possibly can.
Yes, and I am. I like to tell people um, a lot of things because of where I'm from. That if you purchase lamb from me, I give you my word that until the weather is sold, or his time in the show ring is over, that I will do everything that I possibly can to help you
Mm-hmm.
be the most successful with that lamb. And that stems from just, I think, how I was raised. And if you give somebody your word, you have to stand by it, because that's your livelihood on the line. And it goes for the ewe lambs as well. If there's something that comes up, I'll be more than glad to make it right, or to try and help make it right, whatever it is. And I think these ewes, each one of them, obviously I think there's some in here that are, there's some variation in quality. I think they're all good quality. I think there's some that are real nice, that can go out and can make some sheep, some babies that are that are successful.
Mm-hmm. Not much else I think you ought to say. I guess if you could say that. Yeah, that's a great way to go about this thing. Great way to go about being a seller, and want to wish you luck here on this sale on SC sales on March 14th. Again, go and find Mountain View Farm Club Lambs. Find them on SC. Find them on Facebook. See those sheep and watch the podcast video if you're not watching it now. And Zachary, just want to wish you luck with that, and want to thank you for helping us get all this put together. And it's kind of last minute, but appreciate you being willing to do that and responding to Brandy when she sent you the invite text message. And so it's been a pleasure to work with you to get this podcast ready.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you guys so much for putting this together at a short notice. And I'm looking forward to having people, having the viewers listen and to see this. And I hope that it reaches some potential buyers. And I just can't thank you guys enough for putting this together and running so smoothly on such a short notice.
Right. Well, we appreciate it. It takes good people to work with to get that done.
That's exactly right.
So appreciate it. Zachary Schumaker from Sweet Springs, West Virginia. Again, their sale on SC on March 14th. We want to invite you to go check that out. And we want to thank you for listening to another edition of Before the Bid podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Before the Bid. For more information and to learn more about upcoming podcasts and sales, visit us at beforethebid.podbean.com or Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram pages. For information on being a guest on Before the Bid, please email us at beforethebid@gmail.com or one of our social media pages. Remember, that's beforethebid@gmail.com. Happy sales to you, and we will talk to you next time on Before the Bid.